The transport ship Meridian shuddered as another micrometeor struck its hull. Marcus Chen gripped the safety rail, watching the emergency lights flash red throughout the cargo bay. 50 other passengers pressed against the walls, their faces pale with fear. The evacuation from Colony 7 had been rushed, chaotic, and now their rescue ship was falling apart around them. "Hull breach in Section 12, the automated voice announced. "All passengers prepare for emergency landing procedures." Marcus looked through the small porthole at the planet below. Kepler 442 be stretched beneath them like a green marble, its surface covered in thick forests and silver rivers. It wasn't supposed to be their destination. They were supposed to reach the safety of Earth's orbital stations. Instead, they would crash on an unknown world. The impact threw everyone to the floor. Metal screamed against stone as the Meridian carved a deep furrow through an alien forest. Marcus felt his ribs crack against the support beam, but he stayed conscious. Around him, passengers groaned and cried out in pain. When the ship finally stopped moving, Marcus pulled himself up. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows through the crumpled cargo bay. He counted 23 survivors, many injured. The ship's medical bay was completely destroyed, and their emergency supplies were scattered across 50 meters of debris. Captain Rivera emerged from the cockpit, blood running down her forehead. "The communications array is gone," she said. "We can't call for help. The ship's power core is cracked, so we have maybe 6 hours of life support left." Marcus nodded grimly. He had been a supply officer on Colony 7 before the evacuation. He knew how to make hard choices about resources. "We need to get outside and find shelter," he said. "This ship is going to be a tomb if we stay." They worked together to force open the cargo bay doors. The air outside was thin but breathable, filled with strange floral scents. 3 moons hung in the purple sky, casting pale light through the twisted metal of their crash site. The forest around them was silent except for distant whistling sounds that might have been wind or animals. Marcus organized the survivors into groups. The injured stayed near the ship while the healthy ones searched for shelter and water. They found a small cave system about 200 meters away, perfect for protection from the elements. Throughout the day, they carried supplies and wounded people to their new shelter. As night fell, the temperature dropped quickly. Marcus had managed to salvage 17 thermal blankets from the wreckage, but they had 23 people. 6 people would have to share body heat or risk hypothermia in the alien night. He was distributing the blankets when they heard it. A low, musical sound echoing through the forest. It wasn't human, and it wasn't like any animal call from Earth. The survivors huddled together as the sound came closer. "Stay calm," Captain Rivera whispered. "We don't know if it's dangerous." The creature that emerged from the darkness was unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. It stood 3 meters tall on 4 legs that bent like a spider's. Its body was covered in iridescent scales that shifted from blue to silver in the moonlight. 6 arms extended from its torso, each ending in delicate hands with too many fingers. Its head was elongated, with large dark eyes that seemed to hold intelligence, but it was clearly dying. The alien moved slowly, leaving a trail of luminous blue fluid behind it. One of its legs was bent at an impossible angle, and several of its arms hung limp. Deep gashes across its torso leaked the same glowing blood. It collapsed 20 meters from their cave, making soft clicking sounds. "Should we help it?" asked Dr. Sarah Kim, their only medical professional. "With what?" Captain Rivera replied. "We don't even know its biology." "We could make it worse." Marcus stared at the creature. Its breathing was labored, and its scales had lost their shine. He thought of his daughter back on Earth, of how he had always taught her to help others when she could. The alien was clearly intelligent, clearly suffering. He picked up his thermal blanket and walked toward the creature. "Marcus, don't!" Captain Rivera called. "We need those blankets." The alien's large eyes focused on him as he approached. Up close, he could see the intelligence there, the awareness of its own approaching death. Its breathing was shallow, and its body shivered in the cold night air. Marcus spread his thermal blanket over the creature's torso, tucking it around the wounded areas. The alien made a soft trilling sound, and one of its working hands touched the blanket gently. Its eyes met Marcus's, and he saw something that looked like gratitude. "You're going to be okay," Marcus said softly. Even though he didn't think the creature could understand him, he sat beside the alien through the night, sharing his body heat and making sure the blanket stayed in place. The other survivors thought he was crazy. They muttered about wasted resources and misplaced priorities. But Marcus couldn't leave a dying intelligent being alone in the dark. Around dawn, the creature's breathing became more labored. Its luminous blood had stopped flowing, but its body temperature was dropping. Marcus held one of its hands, feeling the alien skin that was surprisingly warm and soft. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I wish I could do more." The alien's eyes focused on him one last time. It made a series of complex clicking sounds, almost like it was trying to communicate something important. Then its hand squeezed Marcus's fingers gently, and it was still. Marcus closed the creature's large eyes and carefully folded his blanket around its body like a shroud. He said a small prayer, asking whatever gods might exist to welcome this brave soul into whatever came next. When he returned to the cave, Captain Rivera was organizing salvage teams. "We need to get the emergency beacon working," she said. "And we need to find water soon." Marcus nodded, but he kept looking back at the wrapped body of the alien. Something about its final moments troubled him. Those clicking sounds had seemed deliberate, purposeful, almost like it was trying to tell him something. Dr. Kim approached him as he prepared for another salvage run. "That was kind, what you did," she said. "Maybe pointless, but kind." "Maybe," Marcus replied. "But it felt right." The day passed in hard work and growing concern. The ship's emergency beacon was damaged beyond repair. Their water supplies would last maybe 3 days. Several of the injured were getting worse without proper medical equipment. Captain Rivera was talking about rationing food, even though they had barely enough for a week. As the second night approached, Marcus returned to the alien's body. In the daylight, he could see more details of its biology. The creature wore what looked like a harness made of woven metal fibers. Strange symbols were carved into small plates attached to the harness. It had been wearing some kind of technology. He was examining the symbols when he heard the sound again. The same musical calling that had announced the alien's arrival. But this time it was louder, and it came from above. Marcus looked up to see lights moving through the purple sky. Not stars or moons, but artificial lights in formation, ships. The lights descended toward their position, and Marcus realized they were not alone on this planet. The dying alien had not been a solitary creature. It had a people, a civilization, and they had come looking for their lost member. As the alien ships landed in the forest around their crash site, Marcus wondered if giving his blanket to a dying stranger had been the most important decision of his life. The creatures that emerged from the ships were identical to the one that had died, but these were healthy and armed with technology. He couldn't begin to understand. They found their fallen companion wrapped in Marcus's thermal blanket, and they turned their large, dark eyes toward the human survivors with expressions he couldn't read. The largest alien ship settled onto the forest floor with barely a whisper. Its hull seemed to absorb light, creating strange visual distortions around its edges. Marcus watched from the cave entrance as dozens of the spider-like beings emerged, moving with fluid grace despite their size. Captain Rivera gathered the survivors behind her. "Stay calm," she whispered. "No sudden movements." The aliens formed a circle around their fallen companion. One of them, wearing an elaborate harness covered in glowing symbols, approached the wrapped body. It carefully lifted the thermal blanket that Marcus had used as a shroud. Examining both the fabric and the body beneath, the leader's large eyes turned toward the human survivors. It moved slowly, deliberately, as if approaching frightened animals. When it spoke, the clicking sounds were different from the dying alien's final words, more complex and rhythmic. Dr. Kim stepped forward, her hands raised peacefully. "We can't understand you," she said slowly, "but we mean no harm." The alien leader tilted its elongated head, studying her. Then it turned its attention back to the thermal blanket. It held the fabric up to the light, and Marcus could see recognition in its posture. The creature understood that this was human technology, Human kindness extended to their fallen member. Another alien approached, carrying a device that projected a soft blue light. It scanned the thermal blanket, then the wrapped body, and turned its attention to the human survivors. The device made soft chiming sounds as it focused on each person. When the scanner reached Marcus, it stopped chiming and produced a different tone, almost musical. The alien operating it made excited clicking sounds to the others. Soon, all the aliens were looking at Marcus with what seemed like intense interest. "What's happening?" Captain Rivera asked. Marcus stepped forward, his heart pounding. "I think they know I was the one who helped their friend." The alien leader approached Marcus directly. It knelt down, bringing its head to his eye level, and began making soft clicking sounds. The tone was different now, gentler, almost respectful. One of its hands reached out slowly and touched the edge of Marcus's jacket. "I gave him my blanket," Marcus said, pointing to the wrapped body. "He was cold and dying. I couldn't just leave him alone." The alien leader's eyes widened, and it turned to communicate rapidly with the others. Marcus caught the repeated sound patterns that might have been words. The aliens seemed agitated, but not in a threatening way. More like they were discussing something important. A new alien approached, carrying what looked like a crystalline tablet. The surface showed swirling patterns of light that resolved into images. Marcus saw pictures of the forest, the crashed ship, and amazingly, a recreation of the previous night's events. The crystal showed Marcus approaching the dying alien, wrapping it in the thermal blanket, and sitting with it through the night. The image quality was perfect, as if they had recorded everything from multiple angles. How did they know? Dr. Kim whispered. The alien operating the crystal tablet touched a control, and the images changed. Now Marcus could see the dying alien's perspective. The creature had been wearing some kind of recording device in its harness. It had captured everything, including Marcus's acts of kindness, but the images showed more than Marcus had realized. The dying alien hadn't just been grateful. In its final moments, it had activated a distress beacon, sending not just a call for help, but a complete record of what the human had done. The alien leader stood and made a formal gesture, bringing all 6 arms together in what might have been a salute or bow. The other aliens copied the gesture, creating a moment of solemn respect that transcended species. Then the real surprises began. The aliens moved to their ships and returned with supplies. Medical equipment that glowed with soft light and responded to touch. Food containers that opened to reveal nutritious pastes and liquids. Shelter components that assembled themselves into weatherproof structures. Dr. Kim was the first to understand. "They're helping us," she said in amazement. "They're actually helping us." The alien medical specialists, identifiable by their specialized harnesses, approached the injured survivors. Their equipment was far beyond human technology, but they worked with careful precision. Broken bones were healed in minutes with devices that projected healing energy. Infections cleared up under applications of glowing medical gels. Marcus watched in wonder as their entire situation transformed. The aliens worked tirelessly through the day, not just treating the injured but improving their shelter and ensuring they had adequate food and water. It was clear that this was more than simple gratitude for kindness to one of their people. As evening approached, the alien leader approached Marcus again. This time it carried a device that projected holographic symbols in the air. The alien touched controls and the symbols changed, clearly trying to communicate something complex. The display showed star maps with their current planet highlighted. Then it showed Earth, marked with human symbols. A pathway appeared between the 2 worlds, with timing indicators that Marcus slowly realized were travel calculations. "You're asking about our home," Marcus said. The alien's head movement suggested confirmation. It manipulated the display to show Earth in greater detail, then projected question marks and the universal mathematical symbols. Dr. Kim joined them, her scientific training helping her interpret the display. "I think they want to know about Earth's location and our people," she said. Marcus nodded and pointed to Earth on the star map. He held up fingers to indicate numbers, trying to communicate Earth's population. The alien's eyes widened at the scale. The alien leader made new adjustments to the display. Now it showed their current planet, but with additional information. Symbols that looked like population centers, resource indicators, and what might have been territorial boundaries. They're showing us their civilization, Dr. Kim realized. This isn't just one colony. This is their homeworld. The implications hit Marcus like a physical blow. The alien he had comforted hadn't been just any member of their species. Based on the elaborate funeral rites the aliens had performed, and the formal way they treated the body, it had been someone important. As if reading his thoughts. The alien leader adjusted the display again. This time it showed the dead alien's image, surrounded by symbols that suggested high rank or social status. The creature Marcus had comforted through its final night had been a leader, an explorer, or perhaps a diplomat. Captain Rivera joined them, studying the star map display. "Are they offering to help us get home?" she asked. The alien leader made new gestures, and the display changed to show ship configurations. Human ships alongside alien vessels, traveling together through space. The message was clear. They were offering not just rescue, but alliance. Marcus felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of what was happening. A simple act of human decency had created the first contact between two civilizations. His decision to share his blanket with a dying stranger was becoming a bridge between worlds, but the aliens weren't finished with their revelations. The crystal tablet operator approached with new images. These showed Earth from space, but the perspective was from alien ships. Marcus realized with shock that they had been observing humanity for some time. Studying their development and behavior, the images showed human acts of kindness and cooperation. Disaster relief efforts, medical missions, people helping strangers in crisis. The aliens had been watching humanity's capacity for empathy and selflessness. "They've been testing us," Captain Rivera said quietly. "Or evaluating us?" The alien leader's gestures suggested agreement. The display showed a timeline with multiple observation points spanning decades. Humanity had been under benevolent surveillance, assessed for their worthiness as potential allies. Marcus's action with the dying alien hadn't been the first test, but it had been the decisive one. A human had shown kindness to a completely alien being with no hope of reward or recognition. That single act had confirmed what the aliens had hoped to find in humanity. As the purple sun set over the alien forest, Marcus realized that giving his blanket to a dying stranger had changed the course of human history. First contact wasn't happening through government channels or military encounters. It was happening because one person had chosen compassion over self-preservation. The alien leader approached Marcus one final time as the night settled around them. It held a small device that projected a hologram of the dead alien, healthy and alive. The image spoke in clicking sounds, but somehow Marcus understood the meaning: gratitude, respect, and welcome. Tomorrow, the aliens indicated through their displays. They would begin the journey to Earth, not as conquerors or observers, but as friends invited by an act of unexpected kindness. The skies of both worlds were about to change forever. 6 months later, Marcus stood on the observation deck of the diplomatic station orbiting Earth. Below him, the blue marble of home turned slowly in space, but it was no longer alone. Graceful alien ships moved in perfect formation alongside human vessels, their dark hulls shimmering with energy fields that bent light around them. The transformation had been swift but careful. After the aliens brought the Meridian survivors home, they had requested permission to establish formal diplomatic relations. The United Nations had responded with cautious optimism, still amazed that first contact had come through an act of human kindness rather than conflict. "The integration protocols are working better than expected," said Ambassador Elena Vasquez, joining Marcus at the observation window. She had been appointed as Earth's primary liaison to the HFY, as the aliens called themselves. "Their medical technology alone has revolutionized our understanding of cellular regeneration." Marcus nodded, watching a HFY transport ship dock with the International Space Station. The sight still seemed surreal after months of routine cooperation. "How are the cultural exchange programs going?" "Better than we hoped," Elena replied. "Turns out the HFY have been studying our art and music for decades. They find human creativity fascinating, especially our capacity for emotional expression through abstract forms. Through the viewport, Marcus could see human and HFY engineers working together on a new generation of hybrid spacecraft. The aliens' mastery of energy manipulation combined with human innovation was producing technologies neither species could have developed alone. The colony ship program launches next month, Elena said. 3 joint expeditions to suitable worlds in the HFY stellar region. They're offering us places in their galactic community? Marcus smiled, remembering the dying alien he had comforted with his thermal blanket. That creature had been Zalithka, a senior explorer whose mission was to evaluate humanity's readiness for contact. Her death on that night had nearly derailed decades of careful observation. The Council of Minds wanted to withdraw after losing Zalithka. Elena continued, referring to the HFY governing body. They saw her death as evidence that humans weren't ready for peaceful contact. But then they received her final transmission. Marcus had seen the recording many times now. The dying alien's message to her people hadn't just described his kindness. Zalithka had analyzed his behavior, concluding that humanity possessed the empathy and moral courage necessary for galactic citizenship. A human gave comfort to a dying stranger of unknown species, the translation read. He sacrificed his own protection to ease suffering he could not cure. This action demonstrates the ethical development we have sought to find. Recommend immediate alliance protocols? The recommendation from a respected explorer, delivered as her final act, had overruled the Council's caution. Within days of receiving her message, the HFY had dispatched a full diplomatic fleet to Earth. Dr. Sarah Kim approached them from the conference room where she had been meeting with HFY medical specialists. The joint research on neurological interfaces is producing remarkable results, she reported. They're teaching us to heal brain injuries that we considered impossible to treat. Marcus had been amazed by how eager the HFY were to share their technology. Their culture valued knowledge sharing as the highest form of respect between civilizations. They saw human creativity and problem-solving abilities as valuable additions to their scientific community. The terraforming projects are ahead of schedule too, Dr. Kim continued. Combining their atmospheric processors with our biological expertise is creating livable worlds faster than either species could manage alone, Captain Rivera, now promoted to Admiral and head of Joint Space Operations, entered the observation lounge. The new patrol routes are established, she announced. Human and HFY ships are working together to secure the inner system from asteroid threats. The cooperation had benefits beyond technology and defense. The HFY brought knowledge of dozens of other species scattered across their region of space. Humanity was being introduced to a galactic community that had existed for millennia. The trade negotiations with the Morden Federation are proceeding well, Admiral Rivera added. They're interested in human agricultural techniques. Apparently, our ability to grow diverse crops on challenging terrain is considered exceptional. Marcus watched a squadron of human fighters practicing maneuvers alongside HFY escort ships. The aliens' vessels moved like living things, flowing through space with grace that human engineering was only beginning to understand. There's something else? Elena said, her voice taking on a more formal tone. The HFY have made a proposal to the Security Council. They want to create a memorial. For Zalithka? Marcus asked. For both of you, Elena replied. They want to build a monument on their homeworld commemorating the first act of interspecies compassion. A human showing kindness to a dying HFY, creating the foundation for galactic alliance. Marcus felt uncomfortable with the idea. He had simply done what felt right in the moment. The idea of being remembered across alien civilizations seemed overwhelming. You don't understand how rare this is, Elena continued. The HFY have contacted 17 different species over the past 1,000 years. Most first contacts ended in conflict or mutual withdrawal. Only 3 resulted in lasting alliances. Your action with Zalithka created the fastest diplomatic integration in their recorded history. A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission. The main display activated to show the bridge of a HFY exploration vessel. Commander Vikthra Zalithka's former colleague, appeared in the projection field. "Greetings, honored friends," Vikthra's voice came through the translation system. "We bring news from the outer survey regions." Marcus had grown used to the formal courtesy that Kethi culture demanded. Their society valued ritual respect, especially in interspecies communications. "We have encountered representatives of the Xanthic Confederation," Vikthra continued. "They have observed the Human-Kethi alliance with great interest. They request permission to open dialogue." Elena exchanged glances with Admiral Rivera. Another first contact opportunity, but this time with the backing of Kethi endorsement and the example of successful cooperation. "The Xanthic are energy-based beings," Vikthra explained. "Their technology operates on principles different from both human and Kethi science. An alliance with them would grant access to quantum manipulation techniques beyond current understanding." Marcus realized he was witnessing the birth of something unprecedented. Not just human-alien contact, but the formation of a multi-species alliance based on mutual respect and shared knowledge. "There's more," Vikthra continued. "The galactic core civilizations have taken notice of our alliance. The hegemony of minds, the oldest known government in this galaxy, has extended an invitation for humanity to join the Greater Assembly." The implications staggered Marcus. Humanity was being invited to participate in galactic civilization, all because he had shared his blanket with a dying stranger. As if sensing his thoughts, Vikthra's large eyes focused directly on him through the display. "Marcus Chun of Earth, the Kethi wish you to know that Zalithka's spirit pattern lives on in our genetic memory vaults. Her final moments of gratitude for human kindness are preserved for all future generations." The transmission ended, leaving the observation lounge in thoughtful silence. Through the viewport, Earth continued its ancient rotation, but now it turned within a community of worlds instead of cosmic isolation. Marcus thought about his daughter, who was now studying xenobiology at the new Earth-Kethi Joint University. Her generation would grow up considering alien friendship as normal as human cooperation. The universe had become smaller and infinitely larger at the same time. "The memorial ceremony is scheduled for next month," Elena said quietly. "Both species want to honor the moment that changed everything?" Marcus nodded. Still watching the ships moving through space around Earth, human vessels and Kethi craft worked together with an efficiency born of mutual respect and shared purpose. The sky belonged to both species now, and soon it would belong to many more. He had given his blanket to comfort a dying stranger, never imagining that single act would echo across the galaxy. But perhaps that was the point. True kindness expected no reward, created no obligation, demanded no recognition. It simply existed as proof that consciousness, regardless of its form, was capable of transcending the boundaries between different forms of life. The stars were no longer cold and distant. They were filled with friends humanity had yet to meet, worlds waiting to be explored together, and knowledge that would transform both species in ways they were only beginning to understand. By morning after that night in the alien forest, the Kethi had indeed claimed the skies. But they had claimed them not as conquerors, but as partners invited by an unexpected act of human compassion. The universe was vast and full of wonders, and humanity was finally ready to explore it alongside friends they had earned through the simple act of caring for those in need.